So man's law would be
Man's
that.
law is a have a driver's license or a seatbelt, or that the man's law is specifically created to take away your God-given rights. So let me get into God's law, which is the next thing on the hierarchy of law chart. These are the laws that come directly from the Bible. Now, we got a lot of people who don't like the Bible. Oh, I can't stand the Bible. The Bible is the white man's, and it's not, because the Albion didn't create that. I got a whole bunch of reasons why you will know that. But that Bible is not the perfect word of God. It's not. However, it's very, very powerful. And when you know to stand under your God, whatever your God is, especially if you're dealing in a court situation, then everybody has to respect that. You follow what I'm saying? It's like people go into court, like I tell atheists, don't you go into court talking about, oh, I don't believe in God. You just threw away all your power. Real quick, because I want to talk about this, because we talk about God's laws. Maxims of Law is what is the title, Maxims of Law. And this is the UNA Beginner Law book. Y'all can get this at UNAUniversity.com, or you can find it in Ken's bio, the link in Ken's bio. But this has a lot, all of the universal laws, hierarchy of law, which is telling you the order in which things are. And this has the maxims of law, all 200 and some odd maxims of law. They're very powerful. And when you go into court, and I'm going to say this real quick and I'm going to back up off of it. You got to understand, when you go into court, all right, there is a seance going on. Again, spiritual. Why is he in a black robe and he all rise? All you dead people rise is what he's saying. All rise. And so what's happening is there is a spiritual seance going on. You don't know it, but that's the deal. So I'm not getting into the dead people or whatever, but I'm bringing up this book and those laws because even when you go into that court, if you stand under your own God, whoever your God is, they have to respect it in that court. All right. So that's the third law. So then you start, those laws are given to you by God. They cannot be taken away from you. They cannot be sold to you and repackaged. Those are what God gave you. Now, when you start talking about man's law and the seatbelt and the driver's license and the speeding law, those are not even laws. Those are code, statutes, and ordinances that are created specifically to take away your God-given rights. But when you know how to stand, they cannot be taken away from you. All right. So I'm done with that.
Okay. So the courts, you mentioned the courts. Does the courts, is it tied to the state of women, or basically like a man's law, the how the government is ran? Is it tied to the state of women?
The government and how it's run is tied to the state of people, period. So why does, okay, let's go into why a government comes up in the first place. All right. So what happened, let's understand what government means. Govern means to control. Control. Ment means mind. Government means control of the mind. Why is it that our mind needs to be controlled? Well, because we forgot how to be sovereign. We forgot how to stand under God. We forgot how to respect universal laws. That's why the government came into play in the first place, because we were not acting honorable. You want to get rid of the government? Start with self and understanding these laws and what's going on. They got to go away. So what happened is, because we're no longer sovereign, we don't know how to stand as adults. Well, the government has to come in. Well, what you mean, Diva? We don't know how to stand as adults. We don't. Okay, so let me give you an example. So I'm ready to go a little bit deep here. A lot of people are going to be upset with me about this.
Go ahead, go deep.
All right. Going into the universal laws and understanding, once again, whatever energy you put out must come back. And some people are going to be upset with me, but I tell you, please check yourself. Check yourself, because I'm going to go into this. When I see, let's say I see somebody getting something stolen from them, I see a thief. And I'm not talking about the one who did the stealing. I'm talking about the one who got the stuff stolen, the so-called victim. See, a lot of people are going to say to me, but you victim blaming. There is no victim. That's another universal principle. There are no victims. Every energy that you are receiving is an energy that has come to you because of an energy that you put out. So this, because people think, okay, what's done in the dark, you gonna finish that for me?
Comes to the light.
That's a universal principle.
Okay. Yeah.
So people think that they can do dirt in the dark and nobody sees them. But please note, you are always seen. Always. Always. You cannot do dirt and it not come back on you. So I have people, people steal because somebody broke in my house. Okay, whose house did you break into? Oh, I used to do some dirt. I know you did because you just told me. But no, I was telling you somebody stole from me. Yeah, they stole from you because you stole from somebody else. So when we learn to stop stealing or stop doing dirt to other people, we don't need a police department, do we? Well, I don't need to report that somebody stole something from me because nothing gets stolen from me because I don't put that energy out.
Okay, so circling back to that. So the energy that people are putting out, what is the seed for them to put out the wrong type of energy? How's it even festering in them? How's it getting in them?
Well, in ignorance. First of all, if you're ignorant of the law, that's first thing. Because again, when you know what the law is, you know not to do dirt because it will return. All right. Secondly, you want it has to do with people being in their own desperate state and thinking that they're victims, operating in a lower vibratory frequency, whereby you're angry, you're ashamed, you're mad, or whatever it is, guilt, you have guilt going, a guilt complex, all of that causes people to operate in a lower vibratory frequency and do lower vibratory things to other people. But when your energies are right and you understand law and you know better than to put that energy out, the government's got to disappear. But right now, the society has forgotten how to govern self, which is what being a sovereign is. So now they need a government to control their minds. But the minute you get control of your mind, they got to disappear.
Okay. So real quick. So pretty much globally, men ahead of the government, right? Where did the male get the nature to set up government?
Everything, as we talked about, the woman was the one who was training. Even nowadays, you'll see a woman is the head of the army. Who was that? The most famous woman, head of the army. Even back in the day, the woman controlled that. So if your question is, and I'm trying to make sure I understand your question that you're asking me as far as they're running the government now, but give me a point so I can understand what you're saying.
So your initial point about the male nature, about just spreading seed and reproducing, setting up governments around the world, where did the male learn that? He learned that from his mother?
Yeah, and you got to understand, it was the woman who taught him, but who taught her? Again, there were other beings here, and they still here. They're still here. If you're not recognizing the speed at which we're getting this technology, even if you're talking about these human vessels, it is scientifically proven that is mixed with some other being from some other entity. That's scientifically proven. That being that supposedly created this human vessel had full knowledge of how to manipulate DNA. They also had full knowledge of technology. They weren't trying to share that with the humans. But now somebody is tapping in and getting this. Did you see how fast technology is speeding up right now? You think the people who run the government actually had the knowledge to do that? Get real. Get real. They're getting help from somewhere. They're getting help from somewhere. And the beings that created these vessels, they didn't leave. They can't leave. They can't leave.
Okay, so for the male to be in the position, he's getting that knowledge to rule from somewhere, because it's not coming from his real nature, right? He's getting that from somewhere. He's tapping into something, right?
You gotta. Okay, so now you get ready to help. I'm gonna help you understand.
Okay.
What the Y chromosome is.
Okay.
And I really want to go into this because I don't want to seem like I am saying anything negative about my brother, okay, because I do love my brother, but I need it to be, I like to make sure we understand what the male is, what that Y chromosome is. All right. So the Y chromosome is what is known of as a genetically modified entity. All right. Y'all in the comment section, don't be knee jerking on this information, please. I'm just giving you the facts. Go look it up. All right. It is a genetically modified, recessive, unnatural, parasitic trait. When we look in other areas where you got GMO beings, what do they do with respect to the beings that created them? Well, they take it over. And part of that has to do with the fact that the woman was disrespectful and did dirt to the male. So there's a spiritual thing going on, and then there's a molecular thing going on here where look at what a GMO. What does a GMO do to corn? You put GMO corn in a field next to a natural corn, and this GMO corn is going to take over. Look at these bees, the GMO bees. They have taken over the natural bees, to the point where, we're in the epidemic. We don't have any real natural honey bees. Oh, okay. Because that's what GMO will do. Well, is that not similar to what has happened with the male and how he has dominated her? Because we can go back and we can see plainly that the woman was running everything. And that he took her over. 325 AD was the first Bible. Christianity, all religions are patriarchal, and their purpose is to subjugate the woman. That came into play in AD. So before that, what was going on? Why do we have matriarchy and why do we even have patriarchy in the first place? If it was always men running everything, then there ain't no such thing as no matriarchy. It's just what it is. There's no need to have patriarchy, but it exists because there was a matriarchy before patriarchy. But that's what nobody's talking about. So where does the male get it from? You got to understand who he is. It's in his nature to take over something, the thing that created it.
So
you asked for that. I ain't want to go into it, but you asked.
Go ahead, drop the bomb on it. Okay, so you mentioned women being disrespectful to the male, right?
Yeah.
So the Eve story in Genesis, is that symbolic of the fall of the woman from your research?
All right. So when you got to remember, there's a Lilith. A Lilith. You know Lilith?
I heard of Lilith, yes.
All right. So I'm gonna go into this a little bit. I won't go deep. But Lilith was said to be the original female to Adam, whereby they came from the same womb, same flesh. Now, Lilith did not like being ruled over by Adam. And Lilith had a knowledge of self that women don't have today. So what the story says, the myth says, but just because it's a myth, please understand that doesn't mean it's a lie. Same thing with Wonder Woman. They want you to be entertained by the Wonder Woman story, but that was a real group of women. That story is based on a real group of women. Please understand, when we're talking about Lilith, we're talking about a feminine being that had knowledge of self. She didn't want to be with this male. She's like, I'm out of here. Lilith flew away. She sprouted wings and flew away. Now, they want to say she's the demon. They call her a demon. But when you look at the story, where and why was she a demon? When the only thing she said was, I don't want to be with him. I'm ready to go. Now, think about this now. I want you to listen, because this is not the only time you heard about a woman giving birth without a male. But she flies away, and then God says, he sends angels to tell Lilith to come back. And Lilith said, nope, I'm not going back. I don't want to be there. I don't like him. I'm good on my own. So God says, well, if she doesn't come back, I'm going to kill a certain number, a certain 100 of her children every day. Now I'm like, wait a minute. How many? First of all, she's giving birth on her own. That's called parthenogenesis. Women still to this day have the ability. They lack the knowledge to do that, and they lack the discipline to do it, but they have the ability. This goes into tapping into that other chromosome. All right, parthenogenesis. So she's, first of all, this story, whether it's myth or not, there is always truth in every lie. She's giving birth. And this God is telling her, well, if you don't come back, I'm killing your children. Now, how many, first of all, she's giving birth on her own. Then how many is she having a day where he's killing hundreds of them a day? So what I'm saying to you, what we didn't look at in that story is the fact that it was the God that was doing all the evil stuff to her, simply because she chose to exercise her right to be on her own. That's evil. So now, understanding this, Lilith was the first one. She sprouted wings. Let's go into that. What, she sprouted wings and flew away. Why didn't Adam sprout wings and fly away? He didn't have the physical ability to do that. She did. She had knowledge of self. Okay, I go into those two X chromosomes and then the X and the Y chromosome. There's power in that X chromosome. This X chromosome now is dormant in the female. But when it's turned on, when that X chromosome is turned on, she got X-Men powers. Why they call it X-Men? Why do they call it X-Men when X always represents the feminine? They want you to be entertained once again by this X-Men story. But the truth of the matter is, when she taps into that other X chromosome, she got the ability to levitate, move things with her mind again, teleport, all these other things that we know we used to be able to do. Yeah, when she gets knowledge of self, she turns on that other X chromosome, she taps into it. That's where those powers come. So again, y'all just made the thing, oh, this is entertainment, the X-Men. Well, who was the most powerful X-Men of them all? Oh, you gonna leave me hanging? I get crickets over here. Okay. All right, Ken. I thought we was friends. You
Oh
no.
so
you know, watch the series.
Jean?
Okay.
Jean?
Huh?
Is it Jean?
It was the female.
Is it Jean Grey?
Yeah, was that her name?
Oh,
I don't
Jean
remember her
Grey.
name.
Okay. Oh, Jean. Yeah. Okay.
Well,
Jean.
and remember what her issue was. Her
Okay.
biggest issue. She couldn't control her anger. Because she couldn't control her anger, she destroyed everything around her. These two X chromosomes, one of them had to be turned off because that's what women are doing. Because she doesn't have knowledge of self. She's spraying these energies all over the place. She's thinking, oh, I got a right to be this and I got a right to be that. But when you spray that energy, that anger, that grief, that whatever, pity, or whatever you feel, sorrow, when you're spraying that, it's got to come back. It is an energy. So that was the same thing with her. She was constantly putting out all these angry energies and she was destroying herself. That's what women are doing. Again, y'all, you know how they tell you, oh, the movies tell you everything. They have to tell you what they're going to do to you before they do it. They're telling you. They're telling you. And I'm saying to you, the reason why there's the Fifth Dimensional Woman Tour, and you can find it in the link that Ken posted. Yeah, that's why there's that tour. Because women need to understand your powers are coming back on. Your powers are coming back on. But if you're in a victim state or a victim mind frame, you're going to end up destroying yourself. That's why they had to be turned off. What are they coming back on? You're tapping in.
Okay. So what are the powers that are dormant in women? What are the powers women have that they don't know that they have?
I'm gonna give you one that's very simple. You ever dated a woman, and hopefully you'll be willing to communicate with me on this. You ever dated a woman and she was like, well, I shouldn't have to tell you. You should know.
Yeah, for sure.
How many you had more than one to do that?
Yeah, more than one. Yeah, a couple of them.
Because that is an intrinsic thing from the past. Don't you think that's crazy? Why in the ham sandwich, ma'am, do you think I can read your mind? And that is more than one woman, and that is a regular thing because that's coming from her in the past. We used to be able to do that. We used to be able to communicate without moving our lips. This is not, you got to understand, you are ethereal. You've been here. This vessel is just a new incarnation. It's just a vehicle, but she's doing things and saying things that are indicative of what went on in the past. She used to be able to do that. But she's telling you should know, because you should. Why in the heck should I know, ma'am? You didn't tell me.
Okay, so when women are expecting a male to read their mind, that's based on some ancient memory of communication that used to exist before?
Sir, yes, sir.
Okay. So the male previously was able to communicate with the woman without using words before. So the male
the male could do that. I don't know that he had that ability.
Oh, okay. So this is a woman on woman thing.
I know she did. Okay, it's like this. Okay, if a woman is in a situation where she's got the village, all right, and the village is, let's say she's pregnant and the village is taking care of her and helping her with everything. She doesn't have to say to the mama or the auntie or the grandmama what she needs. Grandmama gonna get it before she even asks. Or they're gonna know how to communicate. I can't go in. Look, you've heard of the mitochondrial DNA.
I have, yes.
Very powerful. I can't go into it here, but it's very powerful. And so that's shared by the mother. So all the mitochondrial DNA that's in you is coming from the mother. And they share that. That's part of where the ability to communicate without moving your mouth comes from. But yeah, she had that through her family, through her village. I'm not saying that she had that with a male. I don't know that he had that. I'm not saying he didn't. I'm not saying he did. I'm saying I don't know, but I know she did.
Okay, so then there's a connection amongst women and each other that's missing right now then. Because if the male wasn't able to communicate like that, so this is
I didn't say.
right? So this is the same among women. Okay.
I didn't
So
say he couldn't.
oh, okay.
I want to make that clear.
Okay.
I didn't say he couldn't. I said I don't know that he had the ability to do that.
Okay.
Okay, but remember, everything started with the village. Everything started with the village. So you got to understand, even on a physical level, women have that connectivity. Why is it all the periods sync up when you around certain women? Why? I'm sorry. When women are around each other for a prolonged period of time, why do periods sync up? That is a physical thing right there, and it's partly spiritual too. So there is a connection.
Real quick, parthenogenesis. So women conceiving themselves. So the Immaculate Conception is an example, a metaphysical example, an occult esoteric example of what exactly? Because that's
what did you say? The
Immaculate Conception, isn't that parthenogenesis?
I'm not the Immaculate Conception. I've heard of it. I don't use that term. Parthenogenesis is whereby a woman clones herself. Okay. Now you've heard about it over and over again. Well, let me rephrase that. You've heard two cases of parthenogenesis with respect to humans. One with Lilith, where they're telling you, oh, she's not with Adam anymore, but she's still procreating. And then two with Mary and Jesus. Listen, if it's stated, then that means it happened. If it's stated, that means it happened. And well, Diva, who do you know that did that? Oh, Khalifa tribe. Amazon women in South America, Khalifa tribe in North America. Those were all women clans. Because in the Americas, it was clans. And there's still tribes that do it to this day. You're not supposed to know about it. So nobody's going to report on that.
So in the parthenogenesis in antiquity, were women birthing the male, or the male was the creation of the Anunnaki?
Okay, when a woman gives birth via parthenogenesis, the only thing she can give birth to is a female. That's why I don't want to go into that Jesus story, but there's a lot of things that have been changed in that Bible with respect to the characters in that Bible. But when a woman gives birth via parthenogenesis, or any other being gives birth via parthenogenesis, the only thing they can create is
there you go. All right. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay.
I just said she can only create a female.
Oh, she only can create a female. Okay. So